Welcome back to People. I'm Shirley Lin. My guest, Aaron Berg, is a cancer survivor and a triathlete. And because he went through so much in life that he's come up with a book. And it's called It's Your Life. In fact, it's right here. So, Aaron, what made you decide to write this book? I mean, I know you went through a lot, but I could never picture myself writing a book because it's a lot of work too. But obviously, part of it, I'm sure you're thinking about sharing your life with other people so that you can make a difference in other people's lives.
Yes, you know, when after I had cancer and was able to recover with the goal of becoming a triathlete, it's a very ambitious goal. Most people thought I was crazy, including some doctors. Given my chances for survival and my health conditions at the time.
Can I interrupt a bit here?
Sure.
When you thought about or dreaming of becoming a triathlete, were you still in the hospital, recovering?
No, I was at home.
At home.
Because I was doing my immunotherapy treatments at home, which was injections that I had to inject myself with, 3 injections at a time. At home, I had to lock the door, and it made your body so sick with a high fever and chills and shaking for 5 hours, and then incredible nausea and whole body aching for about 3 days. You just almost recover, and then time for the next round of shots.
Oh.
Week in, week out for 3 months. Until my body was just, all my muscles had atrophy, muscle atrophy, which means they shriveled up. So I hardly had any muscles. That's why I couldn't climb the stairs or walk around very well at all.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So anyway, so you were saying that even the doctors would thought you crazy that you wanted to become a triathlete.
Yeah. Well, I knew that if I was going to survive, I had to do something drastic. But this idea of becoming a triathlete and not just surviving, but having better health, better strength and stamina than I ever had or even thought of having before, it meant that I had to learn. I had to go back. I had to start studying everything I could about health and fitness and training, and it gave me that desire and persistence to get out the door.
But that was good.
To get out the door, even when I did not feel like it, but to start pushing myself. I learned how to cleanse my body from the inside out through juice fasting, through proper diet, and I learned how to train. I learned how to push myself past my limits, and then the amazing thing was that I saw my body respond. And when I saw my body start to respond to the things that I was doing, it was such a motivator, and it really helped me. So by and by, actually from the day that I decided to become a triathlete, I was nearly an invalid at that time until the first competition that I entered was 1 year and about 3 months.
Wow, just only, you prepared yourself only for a year and 3 months.
And that just showed that the way that I was doing,
exercise,
the things that I was doing were really working.
Right.
The first time that I competed, I almost qualified for a trophy. The first time.
The first time.
The first time.
Wow. So I
came in 11th place.
Okay.
And the placings, the trophies went up to like the 10th place or something. I was like, oh, just almost. I could have got so close. But of course, that was a great motivation to keep me going, to keep me, and a couple of years later, I did start to get trophies at all of these events, and it really was something for me. I did it for me, to survive, and for my family.
Yeah.
But after becoming quite successful at it, and some news got around to media or some friends.
Even abroad?
Started, huh?
Even abroad?
A little, a little.
Okay.
Then I started to realize, because so many other people with cancer started to try and contact me and ask me for help or advice. And it just seemed like for a while that almost every person I met was connected to a cancer case somehow. And I had no idea that cancer was such a prevalent problem. You know, when you're healthy, you don't think about it very much, you know. Cancer was the last thing on my mind. But after that point, it just seemed like so many people needed help and were wanting to know about my experience. So since then, in the years that followed, yes, I continued on as a triathlete, and I have won a lot of different competitions, or I place well at generally all the competitions that I've entered. And I've been very happy that God has not only helped me to regain my strength, but many times over what I used to have. And also, He's also given me a way to help other people. Because a personal experience and a personal testimony is very powerful.
Sure.
But it wasn't until so many people started asking me for help that I began to go back and really try to see exactly what it was and how it was that I did it, and turn it into something that I could share with other people.
And therefore the book.
And through these through the years since then, I've continued to fine-tune this health program. I could call it a program, which I named Live Right, which is the name of my team, my sports team. Yep. And it stands for 5 rights, which I've come to understand as the 5 main topics for our health.
Right.
And
what are they?
They are eat right, exercise right, sleep right, think right, and speak right.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Now, many health programs are particularly focused on the first 3.
Okay.
But not so many health programs will discuss the latter 2.
Right.
But I've found that you can't really have well-rounded health unless you look at it from a holistic approach. And thereby you can find the balance of life.
And talking about holistic, well, earlier on, Aaron actually demonstrated what he meant by living holistically, right? And so let's watch that video.
Before, when I used to think about the balance of life or hear this term, I often pictured a set of balances with one factor weighing against the other. It's kind of hard to wonder which 2 factors are the most important in one's life. And I think that life is much more complicated than just 2 factors being weighed one against another. One day while I was discussing this topic with a friend of mine, I had a thought. A picture came to me. It was like a new concept. And that was that life is much more like a bicycle wheel. Now, the bicycle wheel is the construction of it is very interesting. I'll just explain a couple little details first. The center of the bicycle wheel is the hub, of course, where the ball bearings are, and everything turns around that. Going out from there are spokes, and the spokes are connected to the rim by a very small little screw, and that screw is called a nipple. Now, when these nipples become loosened, if one of them becomes loosened, then the wheel gets out of alignment. And instead of a very smooth, straight rolling, we'll have something like this wheel over here, which is out of alignment right now. And you see, there's a very bad wobble to it. One of the things that's bad about having a wobble in your wheel is that the bicycle's brakes are gripping on the side of the wheel. And if the wheel is wobbling, it'll be continuously rubbing on the brake shoes on both sides. So it'll be causing friction, and wasting a lot of energy instead of rolling smoothly. Now, a lot of things in our lives are like the spoke. The many different factors of our life are like the spoke. And when you look at your life holistically with a broader picture, there are so many factors like financial factors, family issues, your health, your diet, your spiritual input, your mental health. There's so many things that can affect our lives one way or the other. And I found that by having a well-balanced life, or using this illustration to look at my life from a broader perspective, it really helps me to know, okay, my diet hasn't been quite right this week, so next week I'm gonna add a little bit more to it, or I haven't exercised quite enough. The concept of live right is a holistic health approach, and that's what we're talking about.
Wow, what I just learned from that demonstration, I realized that, well, actually it made me think about how my husband, he's on the heavy side, and he likes eating. So he tends to think that, well, obviously people tell him that it's important to exercise, and then there are other people who tell him to, keep a healthy diet and not eat so much. And because he likes eating, so he does more on exercise. But listening to what you were just saying, actually really need to have a balance, right? Both exercise and eating, the diet. So it can't be just more on one and not the other. So I think that's what I learned from you. Now, talking about live right, what are the principles behind live right and these 5 rights? Or is that what they are? Yeah.
Live right is really a campaign to promote an active lifestyle. Active, healthy, and that means active physically, spiritually, mentally. I want to challenge people.
Please do.
I want to challenge people that, most of you don't even know the potential of your body and your spirit. You don't know the potential of your body because you haven't really pushed yourself past what you deem as your physical limits. We are so afraid to move past what's called a comfort zone.
Because we're afraid of pain.
Yes, well, the thing that I learned from my experience was that the harder I pushed myself, safely, of course, and knowledgeably, but the harder I pushed myself, the more I asked from my body, the faster and the stronger the response was back to me in healing, in creating energy and a vitality that I would never have dreamed of possible. So, you really just don't know how good it can feel and how fantastic it can be to be in really great health and to have all the energy you need and to not be worried about being sick, not be worried about that big cancer word or problems with so many of the sicknesses and ailments. Instead of just shutting up the body's warning system by taking painkillers or taking medication that gets rid of the symptoms of sickness, go for the real core of the problem. Health comes from the inside out. It's not something that you can take a pill for or read a book and then that's it. It has to be a life change. So my goal is to help people find that life change.
All right. Well, I'm sure you're teaching all this to your family and your children. How are they taking all this? I mean, their dad having gone through so much and they've seen it all, they went through it all. I'm sure they're proud to have a daddy like you, but what have they learned from you, and what was their reaction, and how do you see your kids growing now with this mentality?
That's a very interesting point. Well, actually, when I was going through my cancer ordeal, most of them were were quite young and they don't remember so many of the details, you know. But as they've grown older and I've helped them to realize or understand the values of a healthy lifestyle, of an active lifestyle, it's definitely influenced them. You know, my two sons are also now triathletes and compete with me. And
how old are they now?
Well, my two sons are 17 and 14, and I have a daughter who's 16 and another daughter who's 10, and they're all quite active, leading hopefully very healthy lives. I hope that these are life habits and things that will influence them all the way through their adult lives.
And I'm sure that you're most thankful to your wife, who's always been by your side.
Well,
she's a strong woman.
I could say that cancer was probably more difficult for her than it was for me.
I understand what you mean.
She brought me through so much, and her support and help has been a real motivating factor in my life. You can definitely say that.
All right.
Yes, she deserves a lot of credit.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Aaron. It's been wonderful hearing your story, and I want to recommend everybody read your book. Okay, it's Your Life.
It's Your Life. It is published in Chinese right now. It's called 生命在握. Your Life in Your Hands.
That's right. It's in Chinese.
The English international publishing hopefully will be coming soon.
All right. We're all going to be looking forward to that. Thanks again, Aaron.
All right.
And thank you for watching, people. I'm Shirley Lin.